Hey, welcome to another episode of Straight from the Desk. This time I will show you how I painted the cloud effect on that fantastic Stormlight model from Kingdom Death sculpted by Thomas. So we've been using mainly three different techniques. First, we've been using the wet and wet blending to create a nice and interesting color transition. Afterwards, we've been using something that we usually like to avoid in miniature painting. We use those coffee stain-like marks to create an interesting texture that looks really deep, and let's actually see what creates those coffee stains. So if you have a drop of paint, you can see due to the capillary effect we have that nice dome, and the pigments settle because they're heavier than the water. The pigments settle at the edges of that dome and dry there. We will use that technique to create those interesting cloud-like textures before we go in and work with a loaded brush to really get the detail out that we want. Alright, let's see how we achieve that. Thanks for watching. Alright, so here we are with the metallics painted, and also worked out the back of the clouds a little to test out actually how I want them to be, and I went for like quite a textured, strong look on those, and yeah, let's see how we achieve that. Okay, so on the palette we have some Schmincke Titanium White, some Warlord Purple from Game Color, some Scurvy Green from Game Color, some Army Painter Dark Tone, some Light Turquoise from Model Color, and some Model Color Black. The first thing that we want to do is we want to achieve a transition with the different colors, kind of a rough placement of where we want what colors to be. As you can see here, we have like a nice shift between those greenish tones and the purple impact from those lightning bolts. So I think we will first start with a dark blue mixed from the light turquoise and some black. And we will also mix some of that Warlord Purple with some black as well. And it's quite interesting how it shifts to a really nice and dark purple. Okay, that should be good for the beginning. And you can see we work with something like a heavy layer color. And we just start to place that right here. And I want to have the tones matching from like both sides. So you can check, okay, here on the back, this is more like a bit more of the light turquoise. So I just added that here to my brush, and we're just by blending that together. We don't really have to pay a lot of attention here to like how clean our blending is. This is really just for the rough placement. Okay, here we have more purple. So we have one purple core in here and also one up here. So that would be in here and also like slightly purple here. So now we're just taking the purple, about the same consistency. I'm just placing that here. So a little bit in there. And now with the dark blue, you can just wet blend that here on the surface. Okay, and with a bit more black here to the lower side. We still want those tones to be quite dark, so in the next step we will add more highlights, and this should just give us a nice little indication of where the colors go. Okay, so we have another more bluish spot here, and that is what we will introduce next. So light turquoise here, so that dark color in the brush. With that dark color, maybe even a bit darker with that dark blue here. In here. Just to be careful when you get closer to the model that you don't stain any of that nice non-metal work that we've done previously. Okay, and just with some pure black, because I want that cloud up here to be really dark, you can just fade that out. Make sure to really cover all the surface, because sometimes if you work later on rather thin, it's sometimes it's a little hard for the glazes to stick on the spray paint foundation. So even if you want it black, just put some black paint in there. Okay. And as I said before, I want one of those hot spots to be in here. So I'm just adding some of the pure Warlord purple and just feather that out here and mix it on the surface with the other tone. Okay, also up here you can see here where you have these little pipes. We have also like another hot spot with the purple, so we'll add that also here. Okay, a bit more. And with the dark blue, we're also just filling in that element here where it's like a loincloth from the clouds. Same here to the side. Maybe a bit more blue down here. And I'm doing that work with size 2 Winsor & Newton. Okay. A bit more of that dark purple here. Up here. Mixing it here already on the palette. And here where we get closer to actually the color that we've painted from the leg armor, we will just work a little bit more careful and connect that here where we have like that raised bit, also just with that blue. Only on those, in that very raised bit here. Okay. Okay, we will let that dry and we'll be back for some refining work. Alright, now that the base color is dry, you can see it's almost dry, but it's still like a little bit wet in the recesses. I've zoomed in a little to see, like get a closer look here on that detail. So I will first start working here with that blue tone, adding a bit of white to get more like a bluish gray. And we will work rather thin, so we're working with something like a light layer, between light layer and heavy glaze. And you can see we start here picking out that wrinkle here. We're slowly building up that highlight tone here. Use the same tone here. For that element here, I want to get like a look that is somewhere between a cloud and actual cloth. Okay, before we continue detailing that, we'll take that same color, turn it down a bit more, and start glazing it here over the area where we actually see the light shining through. So glaze here towards the raised bit, and it's really important here to not really pay attention to like how that is positioned to the light source. Here it's more about which bit is like more three-dimensional raised, a bit like tabletop painting where you paint the deepest spot the darkest. Here you have to make sure that the deepest spot is like most of the original color of the underlying material. So here I'm trying to really pull the pigments towards that wrinkle. Also here to the side we will add a bit more purple. Bit more with the light blue glaze. What you don't want is you don't want the color to pool, to be like lighter in the recesses or leave coffee stains. So you really want to glaze softly over that area. Okay, maybe a bit brighter. Okay, and we continue here with a bit of the darker blue base tone that we started with. Also the glaze, and we will use that here on the shadow side of the wrinkle. Okay, yeah, we're slowly getting there. So I'll just continue like that. We might show the rest in the speed up. It's really important, if everything is really covered, that you have that impact of colorful impact here of the light blue also all the way over the highlights. Not too strong. So here a bit of white to the purple. A bit more of the walnut purple to mix with some white, and we're still working with the glaze, still rather light. Okay. And with that glaze in the back of the brush and some white, you can start working on some of these more raised bits down here. And you can see really the lower brush is so nice for raised areas like that. Okay. The rest here is a bit random regarding the colors, because we've already placed them. We can just take that as an orientation point and create first highlights from that, but only here in that area we want our shear effect, so we can judge better if things are going in a good direction. Okay, I'll just continue with glazes of that light blue here. In here a bit darker. The more material builds up over the element that is shining through, the more opaque the color application also needs to get. But yeah, I think it already looks pretty neat. I think I will just continue here placing some of these lights. But I think that so far it looks quite good. We might glaze in a little bit of that orange later on here in the upper part. But for now we will continue. And the next thing that I did on the back, and there's actually quite an interesting step, is I've added texture by really over thinning the paint a little and create something that we usually want to avoid. So we really want to create coffee stains. So let's see how we do that. We want them somewhat between controlled and random. And we're using those to build up really like an interesting cloudy texture. We just use that to create like a slightly deeper look. And you can see I've placed just quite a lot of drops, and now with dried brush you can just soak up some of that paint again to really create these coffee stains. So with some of the purple here, and as I said, really thin, thinner than you would usually do it, so the pigments separate from the medium. And with that technique we can create really an interesting random look that looks quite deep from the texture it creates. And later on, a bit like a Rorschach test, we can just see what we like and emphasize that. So Okay, dry brush again. And by soaking up that extra amount of paint, we get like the paint collects more on the edges of the bubble. As you can see here with that one, quite nice. So I will continue with that step and we'll be back for the next interesting step, that is like combining these, picking out some details and working out some more controlled texture using the loader brush. Alright? Okay, so I've continued with the coffee stains, and in the next step we will do the more controlled definition of our cloud texture, and we're doing that, as I mentioned before, with a loaded brush. And just loaded some of the dark blue color in the back of the brush and some white on the tip, and you can see here that texture, I really like that, and I want to push that contrast here and connect the highlights a bit. Okay, just be careful, just take a little bit of white, not too much, and we can push the contrast a bit. Okay, and with a clean brush, just soft that out a little, or dab it here along the texture. Okay, same here. And you can really see how it starts building up that cloud-like look. I'm really trying to push the pigments always to the upper edge here. Okay, let's do the same here with some purple. Almost not enough white. Okay, with a bit more white. The nice thing about that technique is that you can really just play a lot with the randomness that you've created before, and you can still go for a rather clean, well, not super clean, but a very interesting look here. And yeah, I mean, I think you can go for a very detailed look. Detailed was the word looking for. And with a bit more black here to the mix, a bit more desaturated here where it gets to that dark spot here. will also use that desaturated tone with a bit of white on the tip here for the front. Okay, I think you got where this is going, and we'll just continue in the same manner. And I will just detail that area here, and we'll be back to take care of that inner part here. Okay. Alright, so you can see I continued with the lower clouds, and yeah, when you take a look at the palette, you can see I've made a pause and we have to rearrange the palette. So on the palette we have some titanium white from Schminke, some model color black, some light turquoise, also from model color, some Warlord purple from the game color range, also from the game color range some Scurvy green. Back here we have some Ami Painter dark tone, and some Inktense blue from the Scale 75 ink set. Alright, so we will start with using some of the light turquoise with some black. And we're thinning that down because we want to create a glaze on the back of the brush, and we're going here for a light glaze consistency, not too much in the brush, and a little bit of white on the tip, and we will start focusing here on that inner part. You can see here we have a nice swirl, and we want to really work that out here. So first highlight here to the top. Okay. Some more white. Okay. Now here for the inner part of the swirl. Okay, and with a bit of the Warlord purple here and a bit of white on the tip, we can create a more purple tone here. Another cloud that is here more to the front, so another highlight edge here. Okay, and with a mixed tone of the blue and the purple, also as a light glaze, and some white on the tip, we can create here a nice in-between tone. Okay, I'm creating a mixed tone with some white here on the palette. Here for areas where I can't really pull a lot of brush. Okay, really nice so far. And we'll just continue like that. Later on I want that area in the inside here to be quite a bit darker, but we will fix that using some glazes of a mixture of the Army Painter Dark Tone and some of the blue ink. Alright. Alright, let me continue with that bit here, and we'll be back to darken things down a little. Alright, so you can see I continued here with a little bit more of the light turquoise in the mix, and actually this part here is quite nice to show you how we work with our freehand texture and the actual three-dimensional sculpture. So we'll first start here with that dark blue. Again, there's a black glaze, a bit of white on the tip. You can see here we pull it along the sculpted line. Here we do a bit of freehand work, and here we continue on the three-dimensional part. Okay, we'll do that again stronger here. Okay, and up here, we'll just pull it from the other side. Okay, looks good so far, and here we just have to continue our highlight situation. So, starting here. Pulling it here into the recess, and here with almost just pure black, just mixed with a little bit of the blue, create a more neutral tone for up here. And here just highlighting the actual sculpt. And here just connecting those highlights a bit. Again, more with the desaturated tone here, a bit of white, pushing the contrast here a little bit. Okay, here for the upper part of the cloud we'll do something slightly different. So let's take a look here at the structure that we find here in the sculpt. We can see here just a few lines, a bit cloth-like, and we have our cloud-like texture here, and we're going to try to connect these with lines. And therefore I'm mixing like a bluish gray here on the palette. You can see here I'm trying to highlight the lower side of that wrinkle. Pull it here where we actually don't have anything anymore, and I start to wiggle with the line a little, so it's more like a natural cloud-like line. Same here, highlight first, the highlight, and then that freehand line. Here we have some of our coffee spots, coffee stains. Here we have some of our coffee stains that we dotted in previously, and I'm just highlighting what I see here. darker again, just connecting here some of these areas, so the lines don't appear to be too heavy. Okay. So glazing here over the whole surface a bit. Okay, and I mentioned before that we will also tone down the inner part here and make the whole thing a little bit darker again, and we will do that with plenty of the dark tone from Army Painter and some of the blue ink. The nice thing about that combination is that it doesn't dry as glossy as the pure ink would, and yet we can create like a very nice tint of the whole area with having the nice slightly thicker consistency of the wash to really settle in the recesses as well. And you can see here I'm trying to really get it nicely over the shadow area, also of that swirly bit here that we've been working on previously, just to tone it down and to really create a very nice and deep look. And with that dark blue ink we will also work here in some of the recesses and just thin that out here using just pure water, and that should again increase a little bit of the depth and also of the nice color blends. Alright, we will let that dry, and we'll be back to add some lightning bolts and also to work here on that special bit of the cloud. Alright. Okay, now you can see the wash is dry, and actually the effect turned out really nice. It's really super dark in there, and I think it could also be nice if you use a little of that back here on our artwork as well. You can see the wash by itself is somewhat between medium and heavy glaze, and we will apply that here in the shadow area and stop here just shortly before our highlight line. Rinse the brush and feather it out here over those clouds that are supposed to be in the back. And also here, just a little bit on here, just to increase the contrast. Really, it just as a glaze. Also here in the shadow areas. Okay, for the cloud up here we'll do it something slightly different. I want that to be one of the rather dramatic small cores of the stormy cloud. We're first going for some of that pure walnut purple in a medium glaze consistency and some white on the tip to create like a rather dramatic pink impact here. Okay, and with a bit of that pure walnut purple, you can just wet blend that here on the surface. Clean the brush and feather it out. Okay, let that dry. Alright, you can see we have like quite a broad light because the paint was quite wet. So I'm just going to increase that here using a little bit thicker paint. I just want to have like a super bright core and then a nice pinkish tone here on the outside. Okay. We will do the same to the very deep recesses up here. Alright, so far so good. And now with a pre-mixed tone here on the palette and a smaller brush, I'm now using a 00 from Winsor & Newton. We're just mixing some tone here, and we're using that medium layer consistency, so more opaque than before, because now we really want to do like a controlled line. And now I'm trying to paint a lightning bolt that just comes here out of that pink center of the storm. So first one straight line, then an angle here, okay, so far so good for the first one. Another one. I have to correct that lower edge here, so it looks really pointy. Okay, and by adding more white here to the pink, we create a brighter pink, same consistency, and I'm trying to just highlight here the small bits where we have a change in the direction. But also here. Okay, and with some pure white, just adding that here where the lightning emerges from the cloud. I think that looks pretty cool as a small little area of interest up there. Just refining that a little by refining that here with some of midtone. Yeah, but I really already like that quite a lot. For the rest here of the upper clouds, I think I will just go for a rather classical highlight approach, so mixing here like a off gray, and we're just putting that here on the upper part of that cloud that would receive some highlight. Same here, and I'm doing that more in a dabbing motion to again create somewhat of a texture interest. Alright, so yeah, I think you got where this is going, and I will just continue like that, and we'll be back for the finishing touches on the clouds. Okay. Alright, so as you can see, I've continued adding the additional parts, and to be honest, it was not the easiest with all those fine and filigree parts. And yeah, I've also painted most of them. I actually painted what I usually don't do. I painted on bare resin. So let's zoom in to see how we finished those small little lightning bolts. Alright, as you can see here, this is just the bare resin lightning bolt that I glued in place. You can still see like rests of thin super glue here, and we will just paint that over. As this is not a gaming miniature, we won't have any problems with the bare resin. So yeah, let's have a look at the palette. You can see on the palette we have some black from Model Color, we have some Schmincke Titanium White, some Model Color Light Turquoise, some Warlord Purple from Game Color, some of the Game Color Scurvy Green, and some of the dark tone from Army Painter. Let's start with quite a nice and bright tone, like with the lightning bolt that we have up here, and we will first do that with the wet and wet blending. So let's start mixing a dark blue here first, and because we have to cover the bare resin, just mix the paints a little bit thicker. Okay, and here next to the color, we will start with some of the dark blue. We'll also use the same tone here on the other side, and we want to achieve a nice transition towards the purple. So just pick up some of the Schmincke Titanium White, quite thick, not too much paint, and then just wet blend those two here on the surface. Okay, again, just with that what I have left on the brush. And you can see here, wet blending is quite a fantastic technique for small elements like that. Also sure to hit the lower side with the brush. And here where the lightning bolt starts, we will just start with some of that pure Warlord Purple, and you can see I've also used that up here, and it's quite nice because we've been using it previously more in a mixed form with black, and just in the center of those clouds also we've used the pure, and that is actually what we want to achieve here. So same lightning bolt and just blend it out with white. Okay, and we'll also mix a purple here from the dark blue and some of that pink, and we'll just use that here for the transition area. Okay, and you can see here now we have a bluish tone, a purplish tone, the pink tone, and here where those two are mixing, we will add more white to get like a super nice bright tone. A bit of that blue here. Okay, that's quite nice for a base transition, and for the next step we will add some highlights, but we also have to take care of that connection point here. We'll do that using some of the Warlord Purple and some black, and we will use that in a light layer consistency, just in here. Okay, so we let that dry and we'll be back for the highlights. Alright, we can see now that the paint is dry, we have a nice transition from that pale blue here over a white and to that pink, ending in that pure Warlord Purple. The next thing that we will do is we will highlight the lightning bolt, and we will do that with the color that is underneath. So we'll start here using some of the Warlord Purple and some white in the tip. And you can see we try to make lines here. First a highlight here and then more linear highlight. It was a little too thick, so I'm just softening that out with the color here in the back of the brush. Okay, and we will continue with small linear lights here. Always like a small dot on the edge. Then I'm trying to stay here on that side of the lightning bolt because the color on the back of the brush is still that bright walnut purple, and we don't want to get that here into this side. Okay, with a bit more of the blue here in the mix, create that purplish blue and some white. We're highlighting that area here. And also here we're just using some pure white to get some highlights here in that super bright spot. Here for the bluer parts, and you can see that I'm really trying to put the highlights always on these little bumps and also stay on the upper side. Here I'm also adding a bit more white to the lower side. It's really important that this here still fits into the general composition of the model. And color-wise, I really like how those two play together, but I think we need to continue here like a little freehand lightning bolt on there as well. And we will do that in pink. I'm mixing some of the walnut purple here with some white, using that in a medium layer consistency. And with a thin glaze here of the walnut purple, you can see we're using that between medium and light glaze consistency. We can glaze here over that surrounding area of the lightning bolt. Yeah, I really like that. Okay, now I'm just pushing the highlights here on the lightning bolt itself a bit more. You can see that I used the purple here to really have a nice continuous smoke where we have like a transition from blue to purple, then it's here purple within the helmet, and then it again turns into blue cloud smokes. So like the center of the storm is like within the actual storm light. Alright, so yeah, you can see that now I've zoomed out a little to see like the general composition of the blue and purple and the copper tones, and I think it turned out really great. I really like the look of the purple. It really helps to create like a dramatic storm cloud, and the contrast is really nice color-wise. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what you come up with, like a random crazy texture. And yeah, thanks for watching and thanks for your support. Alright.